Have you ever asked yourself, like, why are my prayers not being answered? Like, why do I keep ending up in the same situation over again? I've been disciplined. I've been working hard. I've been remaining faithful. I've been praying, fasting. Like, what's going on, Lord? By the end of this video, I'm going to give you practical tips on how you can increase your faith to be able to get the things that God has for you. First, let me say that you're not alone. Majority of us want more. We want the next level. We want the things that God says that He has for us. But one of the problems in coming from our communities is that you might not have the net worth or the network of people who can connect you to the funds or connect you to this dream job and this opportunity. At the same time, our central nervous system is causing our faith to actively work against the prayers that we're praying. And I'll break that down. The central nervous system is basically this friend that you have that is extremely protective of you, right? Anything that it deems as a threat, it alerts you to that by making you feel different things like fear, anxiety, doubt, defensiveness, all of these different things. But it sounds good, right? But the problem is how it determines what's a threat. It determines what's a threat by anything that is different from the environment that you grew up in, the experiences that you've had, anything that you can't emotionally and mentally comprehend, it may deem it as a threat. Meaning, I'll give you an example. So I grew up in a home with a single mom who lived paycheck to paycheck. Majority of my friends and family and community members, paycheck to paycheck. So we understand poverty and what it's like to struggle. Everywhere I've went, whether that's been school, to do music, sports, we have always clicked with other people who understand that struggle in the same way. And guess what happens when you run into other kids that might be from a different lifestyle, maybe more affluent and more rich or more middle class, is what tends to happen is your central nervous system kicks in and you might see them as corny, boring, that they think they're better than you, all of these different feelings. It wasn't until I was forced to live with a roommate up at college who lived differently than me that over time I grew to realize, like, oh shoot, we got the same values and morals. You just have a different experience, right? So that's our central nervous system potentially blocking you from someone who could change your life. And you change theirs as well, all because that person is different. So you could literally be, because you come from poverty, you could be sitting in front of somebody who is a millionaire who can tell you how to become a millionaire in 7 days, but your central nervous system will block you from the information by anxiousness, feeling overwhelmed, feeling like you're too dumb to take in the information, boredom, all of these feelings. So the question now is, how do we get the central nervous system to begin working with us so that we can get the things that God has for us, right? The number one step that I always give people, the number one step that I always use is that you first off have to know exactly what it is that you want. What does God actually have for you? Praying for that. Like, what's the next level? Is that leaving my job? Is that funding? What is the next step, right? Number two, also understanding the different triggers. And number three, and I'm talking about the triggers of the central nervous system. And number three is when these triggers come up, no longer ignoring them and deciding to push past them, right? Like you might pray that, Lord, please provide such and such, but deep down you feel that doubt. And normally our instinct is to say, no, I'm gonna have faith. We think that faith is our words, right? Where we say, no, I have faith in you, God. I have faith in you, God, trying to outdo that feeling. But the real tip is to actually sit down and address that feeling. And I'm gonna give you an example practically in how I did this, right? So the last job that I worked at, I knew it was gonna be my last job. And I said, I want to run my business. I want my business to become sustainable and be able to leave my job and do this full time, right? And I remember in my prayers feeling that doubt of, can you really do this? Do you actually deserve this? And trying to push through it by saying, no, I have faith, and like meditating on it and no, like trying to manifest it and all of that, right? And it wasn't until one day I actually sat down and addressed my central nervous system of, like, what is this doubt? And the doubt was, can you really handle this? And I'm like, what do you mean? And it got to the point where I started saying, okay, well, let's figure this out. How much are my family's bills for a year? Say the bills are $50,000 a year. Okay, so what does that mean monthly? How much do you need to make monthly? Like, I started addressing all of the questions that came with that doubt. And eventually I got to this foolproof plan that said, okay, well, this is what I'll do to make money. And this is what I'll do to manage the money and budget. And so now my prayers began to change. When I began to pray, I no longer felt that doubt. And guess what? 6 months later, once I started addressing that, it took only 6 months for me to be able to leave my job. So in order to get the things that are for you, you need to get the central nervous system on your side. So if there's an opportunity, if there's a person, if there's a piece of information that you are attempting, that you feel your central nervous system is trying to block you from, address that very feeling with prayer, with grace with yourself, with your therapist, and get to the root of what that feeling is. Once you can uncover that and remove that, you can get your central nervous system on your side and activate your faith in a way that you can begin to get what God has for you. But that's it. My name's Seth Whitted, author of Breaking Negative Cycles. I challenge you to break negative cycles by having the central nervous system on your side so you can activate faith and get the things that God has for you.